This video was made possible by Mizizi International, the official African diaspora clothing brand. Visit mizizishop.com for more information. There is no denying that cocoa, the key ingredient in our favorite chocolate and many beverages, is an incredibly important global commodity. West Africa dominates cocoa production, with Ivory Coast and Ghana being the world's leading producers. These countries cultivate a massive portion of the world's cocoa supply, making chocolate a timeless and beloved treat possible across the globe. However, all is not well in the cocoa world lately, as Ivory Coast, the world's leading producer of cocoa, has announced that it is raising prices for this precious global commodity by 50% in line with global market price hikes. Why is Ivory Coast deciding to raise the price of its cocoa? What factors have led to the global increase in cocoa prices? What effects will continuous increases in the price of cocoa have on consumers of chocolate? And can leading cocoa producers like Ivory Coast and Ghana take advantage of these price hikes? In today's video, we will offer deep insight into these questions and many more. But before we dive into our topic today, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channels and ringing the bell to be notified about all our exciting future videos. According to sources at 5 different export companies, Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara will raise the official cocoa farm gate price to 1,500 CFA franc or $2.47 per kilogram, up from the current price of 1,000 CFA francs or $1.65 from Tuesday, April 2, 2024. The sources, who sought anonymity due to the sensitive nature of this matter, said they were referring to a decision made at a cabinet meeting on Saturday, March 30, 2024. These sources claimed that earlier that day, Ouattara had approved a proposal for a price ranging from 1,100 to 1,200 CFA francs per kilogram before changing his mind and requesting an even higher price. Because he judged the world market situation to be exceptional and wanted an exceptional reaction also, there were several proposals on the table, and as a last resort, the president wanted the highest possible price for the producers, so he decided 1,500 CFA per kg instead of 1,200 CFA, which had been validated previously, the director of a European export company told media outlets. The decision by Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara to raise cocoa prices by 50% comes at an opportune time when the world price has reached a record high. As of today, the price of cocoa beans is now worth more than various precious metals and has risen faster than even Bitcoin, with one cocoa price this week surpassing $10,000 per metric ton. Indeed, cocoa prices have more than doubled in the first 3 months of 2024 and more than tripled in the previous 12 months. The rising prices of cocoa beans since last year have meant that these Easter chocolate bunnies and Easter eggs were more expensive worldwide and will possibly remain so for the foreseeable future. For instance, according to analytics firm DataWeave, the price of chocolate sold in major US supermarkets has increased by approximately 15% since the beginning of 2023. For comparison, the cost of non-chocolate confectionery increased by only 4% throughout that time. But why is the price of cocoa soaring through the roof lately? According to experts, the recent surge in cocoa prices to historic highs can be attributed to the confluence of factors primarily centered around the significant decline in cocoa supply. The world is currently grappling with the most substantial cocoa deficit in decades, largely due to adverse weather conditions wreaking havoc on cocoa harvests, particularly in West Africa, the primary cocoa producing region. Climate change-induced extreme weather patterns such as heavy rains, flooding, and high winds occurring at inappropriate times during the growing season have severely disrupted crop yields for the past few years in countries like Ivory Coast and Ghana, where more than half of the world's cocoa beans are harvested. These adverse conditions have not only increased the incidence of cocoa crop diseases like the black pod disease and swollen shoot virus, but also hindered transportation infrastructure, leading to delays and disruptions in cocoa bean deliveries to ports for exports. Additionally, the persistent issue of low pay for small-scale cocoa farmers in countries like Ivory Coast and Ghana has exacerbated the supply shortage. Government in these regions typically sets cocoa prices in advance, often at levels insufficient to provide adequate compensation to farmers. Consequently, many farmers struggle to harvest in essential improvement and disease prevention measures, resulting in reduced cocoa yields. Furthermore, financial dynamics, particularly within the futures market, have contributed to the surge in prices. Traders seeking to hedge their risk engage in future contracts, anticipating price movements. However, when prices exhibit sharp and sustained increases, the costs associated with maintaining these portions can become unsustainable, prompting some traders to close out their positions by purchasing more cocoa contracts. This action, intended to mitigate losses, ironically fuels further price escalation, perpetuating the cycle of soaring cocoa prices. Other factors believed to be contributing to the shortages include increased fertilizer prices, deforestation, and illegal mining methods that degrade land. So, what is the global impact of the shortage in the supply of cocoa beans and the concomitant increase in the price of the beans as a result? One of the most devastating impacts is that chocolate, which is hands down the most cherished cocoa byproduct, is now more expensive, and companies are doing all they can to manage or pass on these increased costs to consumers. For example, Mars has reduced the size of some of its chocolate bars. Hershey introduced a Kit Kat that was just half dipped in chocolate. Other firms such as Nestle, Hershey, and Mondelez, which owns Cadbury and Milka, have taken a direct approach, hiking prices. Also, Easter-themed grab bags are moving towards non-chocolate confectionery such as gummy, jelly, candy-coated, or marshmallow. Consumers in the US are now paying up to 15% more for chocolate than they did last year, whilst those in the UK are paying up to 12.6% more. According to industry studies, people are beginning to reduce their spontaneous purchases of chocolate, although they still spend big on special occasions. Companies are also saying that more price increases are inevitable this year, since it is unknown when cocoa yields will recover. But is the increase in the price of cocoa beans and chocolate a good thing or a bad thing? For many experts, the global increase in the prices of cocoa beans and chocolate is a good thing, especially for the farmers in Ivory Coast and Ghana who work hard to produce cocoa. According to Dr. Michael Odije, a researcher at University College London, who has been studying cocoa farming conditions in West Africa, a historical emphasis on maintaining low consumer prices has contributed to prolonged exploitation. He stated that chocolate products are priced too low, resulting in insufficient earnings for cocoa farmers to sustainably cultivate cocoa. Dr. Odije highlighted that various issues within cocoa farming, such as child labor, child trafficking, and unsustainable cultivation methods, can be traced back to this root cause. He further emphasized that farmers are unable to earn a decent wage due to the chocolate industry's desire to keep prices low for consumers. This expert even pointed out that there is ample research indicating that, in essence, the cost of chocolate production is being subsidized by the labor of children in West Africa. Consequently, in his view, the increase in cocoa prices is a good thing as long as countries like Ghana and Ivory Coast can use the opportunity to rake in more profit. But it is important that these profits trickle down to the farmers who do all the hard work to grow the cocoa. Douglas Lamont, CEO of Netherlands-based Tony's Chocon, which was created in 2005 to eradicate exploitation in the chocolate supply chain, agrees with Dr. ODJ's viewpoint, stating that his company will support higher costs if it means more money for farmers. Price hikes in the cocoa market rarely translate to more money for cocoa farmers because the governments of Ivory Coast and Ghana determine cocoa prices based on the previous year's sales. Farmers in Ivory Coast receive 1,000 CFA franc each kilogram, whereas those in Ghana receive 20,928 Ghana cedis per ton, which equates to almost $1,600 per ton. This low compensation leads to many negative outcomes, like farmers having to rely on child labor to maintain their cocoa farms. Therefore, experts widely agree that higher prices are good in the long run for farmers who have long been underpaid. Many more money for farmers would equip them to invest in pesticides, fertilizer, and labor to enhance crop yields by 2025 and stabilize rising global prices. To sum it all up, the decision by Ivory Coast to raise cocoa prices by 50% amid the global surge in cocoa prices marks a significant shift that could potentially alleviate the long-term exploitation faced by cocoa farmers. Historically, chocolate companies' emphasis on keeping consumer prices low has perpetuated exploitation, particularly in countries like Ivory Coast. However, the recent unprecedented decline in global cocoa supply, exacerbated by adverse weather conditions, has necessitated price hikes across the industry. While this means consumers will pay more for chocolate for the foreseeable future, it represents a step towards fair compensation for cocoa farmers who have long been underpaid. This adjustment may ultimately contribute to a more sustainable cocoa industry and improved livelihoods for farmers in countries like Ivory Coast and Ghana. Your perspective matters. What do you make of Ivory Coast raising their price for their cocoa beans by 50%? Share your insights and thoughts in the comments below. For continued updates on global affairs and diplomatic developments, be sure to subscribe to the New Africa channel. Stay informed, stay engaged. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to bringing you more insightful content in the future.